This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight we're taking your calls and questions about car and truck wrecks. It is the most wonderful time of the year, but it's also a dangerous time of the year out on the roads. People are distracted. There's a lot more traffic on the roads. People are going places they're not used to going. They may be checking their phones. They might have had a little bit of alcohol, and you get accidents. If you've been involved in a wreck and maybe you're not sure what to do about doing an insurance claim or whether you've actually got a lawsuit, call in your questions. The 31 Law Call number 256-536-0077. You can also email a question. You can email a question on any legal topic any day of the week. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com. And when we get to a show that's on point, we'll have some of your email questions, and we've got some of those tonight. Will League is here from Timberlake & League. Glad to have you here.
Hey Sharon, good night. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're up here late with us tonight.
Staying up late. We've got a You Make the Law Call video for you tonight. So we've got some video that we pulled from YouTube. It's a car accident, just like we're talking about. We're going to talk about things. In the state of Alabama, there's some certain rules that are different from other places. So if this accident, let's see if we can take a look. Looks like a beautiful day, everything going fine, but somebody is going to run a light. If this happened in the state of Alabama, this guy's fine. Don't worry, I always worry that. Now hold on,
Yeah.
We're not even done yet. Hold on. What?
Oh, wow.
Okay, if that's in the state of Alabama, okay, it seems like open and shut case.
Well, when you look at the civil aspect, a majority of the cases we handle are car wreck cases.
Yeah.
And you're looking for liability. It could be a civil case where it's not a crime if you you can make a mistake, run a red light. Usually it's not result in a crime unless you knowingly, voluntarily enter into either you're drinking, speeding, doing something, or consciously disregard the law to cause that particular wreck. Let's say that person was out drinking. There could be a criminal charge first. We talked before the show, Alabama does not have a specific vehicular murder. It's either felony murder, it could be reckless murder, vehicular homicide, and depending on the level of conduct. That's on the criminal side. On the civil side, we look for negligence, which is really making a mistake, not doing what a reasonable person would do, how he or she would act. And if there's willful or wanton conduct, which is speeding, drinking, things like that, that raises it to, in addition to compensatory damages, you look at punitive damages, which is to punish the particular for that conduct and deter that type of conduct in the future. And you can get your medical bills, pain and suffering, things of that from the other type, from compensatory damages. In that particular case, it was clear they ran the red light. The unknown question is, was there any criminal intent behind it, like we just talked about? But we got an expert with us. We've got William Maservi, my partner, up here with us. Thanks for staying up. And he is the best, well, other than you, Sharon, he is the best dressed here.
Glad to be here. We got the red happening, and we're looking good.
It's the season.
It's the
season.
We looked at the video, and it looked like it was clear they ran the red light. We and I were working on a bus wreck case, so a bus overturned. A lot of people, were injured on the way to Tunica, Mississippi. It was icy. The roads were slick, and the bus driver was traveling at excess speed limit, and then that pulled over. So, William, when you have that many people involved in a bus wreck, how do you go about it? How much insurance is there? What's the steps there?
Yeah, so the steps aren't undifferent from a wreck involving just a singular injured party, except for in a case like that, there's going to be a policy of insurance. And everyone's going to be going after that same policy of insurance, and it's going to have X amount of dollars, and the value of 10 people's claims might be within that range, or it might be in excess of that range. And then you're looking at do people have insurance over and above what the commercial carrier does, and so those can be challenging.
So if we're talking about moving it from the level of just being somebody made a mistake to it being bad, and you're talking about more damages available to you, how do you prove that? If we had that video, I don't know if he was looking at his phone, or I don't know if the guy was drinking. How do you prove those things?
There's a couple ways. And back in the day, it used to be a distracted driver. Now with texting, with the internet, with people streaming, it's not unusual to find that they were on their phone doing something that was taking their attention away from the road. And we use experts to, the wreck happens, someone calls 911, you don't know exactly when the wreck happened. However, If the phone is traveling 60 miles an hour, all of a sudden goes to 0, then the data on that phone can let us know exactly what was going on at that particular time. So Sharon, to answer your question, you look at drinking. We were just at a bar meeting where they're testing for alcohol. They've got other types of new devices where they test for, either legal, illegal drugs. And so if you find that type of, conduct, that they're intoxicated, whatever substance, then punitive damages could arise to punish that particular person for the conduct. And you also look at, a lot of times they're charged criminally. Usually the criminal case cannot move forward until the civil case resolves. So oftentimes we're in a holding pattern until the district attorney finishes with their case. I'm working on a double murder case on the civil side, and we're stayed, and we're waiting for the district attorney to prosecute that particular driver for whatever the grand jury decides to charge murder.
And why is it? Why do you do that? Why do you put the civil case on hold? William, what's the reasoning for that?
Well, in a criminal case, a person has a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And that right really doesn't exist on the civil side. On the civil side, we're only seeking monetary damages. So, a person can be compelled to testify in a civil case where they can't be compelled to testify against themselves in a criminal case. And so all of that has to get out of the way so that, a person can give honest testimony in a civil case without worrying about being charged criminally for their conduct or for their testimony.
Because if they testified at the civil trial, if you did that first, they could use that testimony against them in the criminal case, right?
That's right.
Correct.
You're under oath, you testify. Let's talk a little bit about auto accidents and what you're entitled to claim. So if it's just your vehicle that's damaged, is it worth getting a lawyer? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I think it's worth talking to a lawyer a lot of times. Even if we're talking about a simple car accident, if you've never been in one, and you don't know how that process works, a lawyer that does what we do, we're happy to talk to you and walk you through that process. And a lot of times, people don't initially know, are there going to be problems that arise in the process? And so it's always a good idea to talk to a lawyer, tell them what happened, because from our experience of doing these claims day in and day out, we can identify those potential problem areas for you from the get-go. And identifying those issues early on makes them manageable, right? But if you get caught on down the road and you haven't addressed a particular issue, it can come back and bite you.
A lot of times people look at your insurance policy. I mean, who reads them? I get that. But at the same time, you want to make sure you've got gap insurance. You've got, collision, comprehensive liability, and underinsured motorist coverage. We've talked about it all the time. But if someone hits you that does not have enough coverage or has zero coverage, flees the country, and you don't have what's called underinsured motorist coverage, you're done. You cannot make a claim for your personal injuries. So we run into clients all the time where they either opted to waive that particular coverage. You have to sign that away in writing. And if an intoxicated foreigner hits them, flees the country, there's nothing you can do if you don't have that type of coverage. Gap insurance is important. So sit down with your agent, see what coverages you have, because when you come to us, oftentimes we don't have the tools to properly defend you or try and compensate you for your vehicle or injuries or anything, because you don't have enough coverage and you can't rely on someone else out there to have enough to cover you.
And just to explain what gap coverage is to those who don't know, if your car is worth $5,000 and you still owe $6,500 on your car, the insurance company doesn't have to put you in a new vehicle. They only owe you the fair market value in Alabama. So in that instance, it would be $5,000 and you still owe the bank $1,500. And you still need to go get a new car. So what gap coverage does is it covers that $1,500, right? It covers the difference between what's owed on the vehicle and what your vehicle is worth. But of note there is you're going to purchase gap coverage at the time you purchase the vehicle. That is done through the finance company or through the dealership. So it's difficult to do in hindsight. That's something you're going to do at the time you purchase your vehicle.
We've got Ali on the line with a question from Russellville. Hi, Ali. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Oh, yes. I have a friend that had a car accident a couple of days ago.
Okay.
But he said that the police didn't swap their information as far as the insurance, nor did they give him a police accident report. So I'm trying to figure out how is he going to tell his insurance, because he hadn't told him because it was the weekend they were closed.
Was it in a parking lot or something?
No, he was driving down the street. It was
Okay.
in the city, and
So depending on the police department that worked the wreck, you know, a lot of police departments will try to turn that report around in 48 hours, but some, including, you know, some state agencies, can take up to 2-3 weeks to put out an accident report. So it may be a situation where that accident report just isn't available yet, but worth looking into.
Now, you were talking about, was it in a parking lot? Why are you asking that?
You know, sometimes they don't do it if it's on private property.
Yeah, police won't even come.
And sometimes they do, and sometimes I don't really know the rhyme or reason for it. But I'd be surprised if this car didn't have a police report, just like William said. Go down to their administrator's office, and you know, state trooper takes a few weeks sometimes. You know, city municipalities take various times, but usually not 2 weeks. But I'd be surprised if there was not a report that was done. Usually, you know, sometimes they'll give you a green card or a little blue card with information and incident report number on it, so you can get that. But sometimes you have to go down to the magistrate's office and pick that up.
Okay, let's take a break. Be right back answering more of your questions about car and truck wrecks. Stay with us.
Magistrate.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call, where lawyers come to help. Your rights, your calls, live. Hosted by family law attorney Sharon Dovia. With the personal injury attorneys of one of the Valley's most respected law firms, Timberlake and League. Featuring the knowledge of managing partner Michael Timberlake, with millions of dollars awarded to his clients. And the experience of attorney Will League, a strong courtroom fighter known for his commitment to winning. And the fellow partners of Timberlake and League Heath Brooks and William Meservey. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Dovia. Tonight we're taking calls and questions about car and truck wrecks. The 31 Law Call number 536-0077. It's the Will and William show tonight. We've got Will League and William Meservey, both from Timberlake and League, answering questions, and they do these kind of cases all day, every day. I had somebody call my office earlier this week knowing what the topic was going to be and saying, you know, people don't realize if you're in a wreck, your car value is diminished so much. Even if they fix the car, it's not worth what it was before. So can you make a claim for that?
Similar to gap insurance, as we were talking about. Let's say you got a car that's worth $20,000. You drive it off the lot. Now it's worth $15,000. It's totaled. They have to pay you the fair market value of your vehicle, which is $15,000, and you lost that $5,000. What if your car is not totaled? Diminished value. William, does it have to be a new car? What are some of the natures of a diminished car? You got a car worth $20,000 and you wreck it. It's going to take $10,000 to fix it, and your car is has a diminished value. What do you do?
Yeah, so certainly if you're in a newer model vehicle, you're going to have a claim for diminished value. So if your car's, you know, from the last 3 years, say, you're going to have that. If you have a classic car or you have a car that holds its value well, you may have a diminished value claim as well. Of note, though, is that you can only make a diminished value claim against the other party's insurance company. And so a lot of times, you know, you find yourself in a situation where you are having to make your property damage claim through your own insurance carrier. You're thinking, well, it might be just easier just to go through my own. I know I have coverage for it. And you can do that, but you can't make a diminished value claim against your own carrier, only against the carrier of the person who hit you. And so it does become important that that person that hit you has insurance for purposes of diminished value.
Interesting. We got an email question. Let's take that. We got an email question from Wayne. Wayne wrote in and said, my mother was in a wreck. She's expected to recover in a month or two. There may be some health complications. We aren't sure yet. The driver of the truck that hit her says he blew a tire and lost control. We filed a claim with the company's insurance, and we're waiting for more information. A friend of mine who had a similar scenario advised against getting a lawyer. He thinks he could have netted more without one. Is that realistic?
You know, there's a lot of questions in there.
Yeah.
First, the statistics show that when it's self-serving, I get it, but when you do have a lawyer, they pay a significant amount more on the particular claim. That's why they have a good cop, bad cop. The insurance adjuster gets to you quick, tries to make an offer. The emailer mentioned his mother. She's got some medical bills, 2 months worth of injuries. He doesn't know yet. So you want to take that slow, get the medical records, medical bills, let her finish all her medical treatment before you make a claim with the insurance carrier. That's very important. Once you resolve your claim, you cannot go back. It's like a guillotine fall and it's done. And so the particular time when you make your claim, depending on if they have not finished all medical treatment, you really don't know what the claim is worth, and you don't know what all medical bills are outstanding because you're still getting treatment. With regard to the tire blowing, there could be a mechanical defect defense, but usually your tire blows, you cross the center line, hit someone, you're at fault, the other person had nothing to do with that. But Alabama has, William, a contributory liability or contributory negligence. What does that actually mean? It's tough in Alabama, actually.
That's right. And so what that means is that they don't have to prove you're at fault. They have to prove you're 0.01% at fault. And if they prove you're 0.01% at fault, you can't recover. And so Alabama is an unusual state. I think we're one of 4 left in the union that has this kind of archaic law of contributory negligence. And basically what's that saying is, if you are at all responsible, at all at fault for the cause of the collision, you cannot recover against the other party. And so it's not a situation where they're going to be trying to make this wreck this other person's fault. They're going to try to be making this wreck 0.01 or 0.02% the other driver's fault. And if they can do that, they bar that other driver from recovery.
So you be careful talking to the insurance company, right?
That's right. I mean, they'll ask you questions. You take a recorded statement. We ask clients not to give a recorded statement. Even if you're being innocent trying to cooperate, those questions are designed to deny your claim. And it's a shame, but that's how they get in there and get a foothold to try and deny the claim, because Alabama has such a tough negligence law, unlike all the other states around us.
So, like, if I just say, yeah, I might have been going a little fast,
Yeah.
that's enough?
If you're inattentive, if you're going too fast, you know, the analogy I use, if I'm going 100 miles an hour through a 4-way stop, but you're coming the other way and your wheels almost come to a stop, but they don't, you technically ran the stop sign, even though I'm speeding. You know, you cannot recover against me.
I can't sue.
And so, you know, you can sue, but I
won't win.
Under the law, you wouldn't win.
So most
Gotcha.
states have moved to what's called the comparative negligence or the modern approach. And that should tell you what you need to know right there. It's just called the modern
We
approach,
don't have
right?
the modern approach for anything, do we now?
But what that says is, look, if you were 5% at fault for the wreck, you can still recover 95% of your damages from the other party. Or if you're 10% at fault, you can recover 90% of your damages. It's a much more equitable and fair law than what we currently have.
Let's talk a little bit. Folks are going to be having parties. You're going to be having a party at your house, or you're taking everybody out to a restaurant, or folks are going to be drinking a little bit. If somebody is drinking at my house and then they have an accident, am I in trouble?
You know, social host liability, dram shop, if you're at a bar. If you serve alcohol contrary to the provisions of law, if you give alcohol to someone who is yet visibly intoxicated, you could be liable if that person leaves your house or your bar in an intoxicated state. So if you contribute to their intoxication and it's contrary to the provisions of law, then you can make you could make a claim against the bar or the social host. So if you're having a Christmas party, sometimes people hire caterers, they have insurance, and they're monitoring the division of alcohol as opposed to you or somebody at your house. So that can take that liability off of you. If you are providing alcohol, make sure you're doing so in a responsible manner, because it can come back on your insurance and you.
So how many parties can you wind up in a lawsuit? I mean, if the person who had the accident, the bar that was serving.
We've got one case where the guy was bar hopping and he was hammered all over town, and he was well above the legal limit. And each bar who contributed to his intoxication is named in the suit, and that's not unusual. They used to have what's called diminishing policies, to where whatever the money they spent defending the case would take away from their insurance policy. But now that's finally been overturned, and that's some good news for consumers in Alabama.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about distracted driving. As people are out there and texting, I guess that's probably one of the most dangerous things that many of us are doing. William, talk a little bit about how dangerous that is.
Yeah, so if the average time I think to read or send a text message is like 2.4 seconds, but depending on how fast you're going, that might be the distance of a football field that you're looking down at your phone. It's incredibly dangerous. And so distracted driving can be anything from, texting, it can be your GPS, you can be putting your makeup on in the morning with the mirror flipped down, right? And so there's lots of different types of distracted driving. It could be eating a cheeseburger and having a drink in your hand and you're trying to operate the steering wheel. And if you just spend a little time looking at the folks next to you at the stoplight, you see more of it than you really want to. But distracted driving is incredibly dangerous. It's against the law, and it hurts people. It's not a matter of are you going to be in a wreck if you're doing any of those things we just talked about. It's a matter of when is that wreck going to happen.
And the statistics talk about the distracted driving texting, because back in the day we used to not see that as much. And now we're seeing horrific rear-ender cases because the people have their head down in their phone. And back in the day it was just like you said, a Coke, cheeseburger, all that. But now the statistics with drunk drive with distracted driving is similar to drunk driving, the reaction time, and so it's just as, and a lot of times more dangerous. You know, William, when we look at a case and so usually somebody just made a mistake, that's compensatory damages, your medical bills, pain and suffering, lost wages, things like that. But when you've got distracted driving, when our expert comes in and says, yes, this person was playing Tetris on their phone as they're driving down the road, what significance does that have when you're evaluating a case?
The significance of that is we're going to come after punitive damages. We're going to come after not just damages to compensate the injured party, but to punish the wrongdoer and similarly situated wrongdoers to deter that type of behavior in the future. And the significance of that is a modern trend that you're seeing with insurance companies where they're writing exclusions for punitive damages. And so you're not covered a lot of times if you've been drinking and driving. You might not be covered if you've been texting and driving. And so then, you're looking at, here we have an injured party. They have property damage, they have bodily injury, and they have all these bills. And guess what? Your insurance carrier is going to sit there and say, yeah, we don't actually cover that because you were texting. Well, then you're in for a world of hurt because you're going to have to try to compensate this person, or they're going to come and sue you, and you're not going to, have a way to get out from under it. And so you have to be cautious. You really do.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a break. Be right back answering more of your questions about car and truck wrecks. Stay with us. If you didn't get your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with Will League and William Meservey with Timberlake & League. They're personal injury attorneys, so that's everything from car and truck accidents to nursing home negligence. 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way. They'll also be on the midday news tomorrow at 11.
And our own Sharon Dovey at Family Law, Child Custody, Divorce, 539-7337, SharonFamilyLaw.com.
Okay, so if you're in an auto accident in Alabama or up in Nashville, how long do you have before you have to have filed a lawsuit?
In Alabama, by and large, you're going to have a 2-year statute of limitations. In Tennessee, you're going to have a 1-year statute of limitations. So depending on which state you're in, your time varies. In Mississippi, it's 3 years a lot of times. And so, it matters what state you get hit in, depends on how much time you have to either resolve your claim or file a lawsuit.
One caveat, statute of non-claims, if it's a city entity, municipality hits you, you have to file a statute of non-claims so I can claim with the city.
That's why you need to talk to a lawyer. Thanks for all your questions tonight. Everybody have a safe week.